And thank you for being so patient in between videos. I know it's been a long time. Some of you know I had heart surgery. We'll be talking about that a little bit in a future video. But in the meantime, I have a new Patreon subscriber, and I want to thank Sandy Benedetti for joining Brittany and subscribing on Patreon, which chips in just a little bit of money to help me do things like upgrade the microphone. And welcome back to Politics for People. I'm Jimmy Fremgen. Good morning. It's an early one. I have been up literally all night. I am exhausted, but I was up early enough to catch the House consideration of the MORE Act, H.R. 3884, I think.
I call up H.R. 3884, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar number 497, H.R. 3884, a bill to decriminalize and deschedule cannabis to provide for reinvestment in certain persons adversely impacted by the war on drugs, to provide for expungement of certain cannabis offenses, and for other purposes.
It's a big deal to people that work in the cannabis industry, people that use cannabis, people that know people that use cannabis, people that have ever wanted to not pay for people to sit in jail because they use cannabis. There's lots of people that are interested in it. Anyway, so instead of sitting in my bed and wallowing in the fact that I can't sleep anymore, I figured I'd tell you about what rules are in the House of Representatives. Now, rules you usually think of being like telling you what to do. That's more or less what they are in the House, except telling members of Congress what to do. The Rules Committee, which is a separate committee made up of a smaller number of members of Congress, that's in charge of setting the rules for when bills come to the House floor, which is where they consider them, will get together and figure out whether they're going to allow members of the House to offer amendments to change the bill on the floor, or if they're stuck with the language that passed out of committee. Which we'll go over all the committee process and everything later. But they voted on the rule yesterday, which meant that they debated the actual rule itself, not the policy behind it, not the bill, just the rule. How much time was allowed, whether they were allowed to do amendments. And then today, right now actually, is the MORE Act. It's when the bill itself is actually being debated, the policy behind the bill. The rule passed yesterday by party lines, except Matt Gaetz, who is a congressman out of Florida, very conservative Republican. God, my glasses are awful. Very conservative Republican, but who doesn't think that marijuana should be legal, or excuse me, who doesn't think it should be illegal because it penalizes communities of color.
But I am here as the only Republican co-sponsor of the MORE Act, and I'm voting for it. Because the federal government has lied to the people of this country about marijuana for a generation. We have seen a generation, particularly of black and brown youth, locked up for offenses that should have not resulted in any incarceration whatsoever. I'm also deeply troubled that the current policy of the federal government inhibits research.
There are lots of people that agree with that. Hi. And so he voted yes on the rule to consider it. He voted yes on the bill today. He said he knows it won't go anywhere once it gets to the Senate, but he's happy to vote yes on it again. That's pretty cool to see a topic as previously controversial as marijuana, cannabis, be voted on in a bipartisan way. It's an interesting way to watch our country grow. But the next time you're getting ready and you're getting yourself all worked up about something that's on the House floor, go look at the rules. Because if the rule, which usually comes out the day before the bill is on the floor, says that you can offer an amendment, that means that your member of Congress can offer language that you wrote or proposed or offered to them or suggested on the House floor. Now you gotta do a lot of convincing, but it's like a thing that can happen. You could change the law before it gets passed. That's the inside scoop on how a bill comes from committee to the floor, through the Rules Committee, gets a rule assigned to it, the rule gets voted on the floor, either immediately after or shortly thereafter. The bill itself gets voted on, and then it goes to the Senate, or the President, or nowhere. And we'll get into those details another time. Thanks for going on an early morning walk with me. If you haven't yet, go like and subscribe. It's really helpful to me. Like, it's actually helpful. Like, YouTube limits the things that I'm allowed to do based on the subscribers I have. So do that, please. Thank you.